Welcome to the Art of Badassery, where I explore what it takes to live life on your own terms, break free from the status quo, and unleash your inner badass. Whether you're a rebel at heart or simply seeking inspiration to step outside your comfort zone, this podcast is for you. I'm your host, Mahara Wayman, and each week I dive into the stories, insights, and strategies of those who have mastered the art of badassery and are living life to the fullest. They smile when no one is looking. Welcome back to another episode of the Art of Badassery. I'm your host, Mahara Wayman, and we're going to have a great conversation today because this lady reminds me of me. We have a guest today that exemplifies the art of living authentically, embracing motherhood, and profoundly impacting her world. Please join me in welcoming Megan Gibson, who hails from the stunning Gold Coast in Australia. Megan's journey is a testament to the power of dreams and the beauty of being badass. No wonder she's a guest on the show today, right? From a young age, she always dreamed of becoming a mother, and now she's not just a mother, but she is a remarkable mother of 7. Her love for her family radiates through her every word and her every action. But she's more than a mother. She's also an identity and alignment coach, a podcaster, and a writer. As an expert in the transformative journey of deep self-discovery, Megan's one-to-one coaching process is specially formulated to help individuals uncover their intrinsic values and their unique gifts. With grown-up children, she knows firsthand the importance of leading by example in a world, well, let's say, that often lacks authenticity and vulnerability. Through her captivating podcast, Free to Be You, Megan inspires women to break free from the constraints of pretending to be something that they're not, and instead empowers them to embrace their authentic selves. Her message resonates deeply with me and with all of us, encouraging us to step out of self-abandonment and into full self-expression. As a dynamic speaker, Megan shares profound insights and practical tools for unlocking personal clarity. She emphasizes the importance of aligning one's life and business with their values and vision, allowing one to take ownership to create the life of their dreams. So get your favorite drink, put on your headphones, and get ready for a great conversation. Megan, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here with a fellow badass at that.
With a fellow badass. It was so funny because I get, a lot of people are reaching out to be on the podcast. And when I read your bio and checked out all of your stuff, all I could think was, oh my God, she's a younger, blonder version of me. We have so much in common, and which is beautiful and lots of fun. But I'm wondering if we can go back, because there's a great story in how all of us have great stories, but there's an especially good story when people have experienced a transformation. And often I find that coaches like myself have had just that. So would you mind taking us back to sort of the beginning of the foray into when you started to question if this was all there is in your life?
I can certainly take you back to that moment. I think that one of the things, oh gosh, I'm trying to decide where to start. I have always been somebody that wanted other people to be happy. I've always been the kind of girl who wanted people to like her and would do anything to receive praise or to just know that I was enough. And that was totally my way of being for my entire first half of my life.
I'm just going to jump in here because I want to say that I hear that a lot, but I am curious, was it when you were people pleasing, because let's call it, that's what it is.
Totally what it is, spade to spade.
Was it to your detriment? Or was it just people pleasing? Because I think there's a difference. Like sometimes we do things that really go against our values and are not aligned with who we are as people or women or children or friends. And we do that to people please. Other times we people please, but it really doesn't it doesn't really affect who we are. It doesn't go against the grain. So I'm just curious if you wouldn't mind just being telling us a little bit more about that experience of people pleasing.
Yeah. Well, I think that it's a bit of both, to be honest, because I'm still somebody who loves to make people happy. That is a part of who I am. What became an issue was that when things didn't go well, or when things didn't turn out, or when I didn't get that outcome, I would blame myself. And I would start to collect evidence for this story about not being enough. And I know everybody relates to that, because in my work, when I talk to people about their story, like what is it they believe about themselves, there's always some version of not being enough. So I know that's going to resonate. For me, it was like I not only collected evidence for that, I wore it like a badge of honor. And the where that affected me the most was in my relationships with the people that I was closest with, because though the other people, that's where you're supposed to feel safest. And it became a space where I felt most unsafe, because I can't really explain it in a tangible sense, but it's this feeling of like complete fear that everything that you've built up and made and created is going to come tumbling down if you screw up in any way, shape, or form. And it becomes exhausting after a while.
Why do you
So yeah, that's that exhaustion where I started to realize if I don't change, I'm always going to be this tired. I'm always going to be giving from an empty cup.
why do you think this is so prevalent with women today? And maybe it's just prevalent with all human beings, and it's always been that way. We've just didn't have the words to recognize it. I'm not sure. But because your story is so similar to mine and it's
Yeah.
so similar to everyone's, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what happened between birth and 16 or birth and 10 or birth and 6 where we learned these? Is that just the human condition, or is it something from the timeline that we've been born into in this time around?
Well, I think again, I think it's a bit of both. So like for us as women, and especially women who always like I always wanted to be a mum. Like it's all I ever wanted to do. Like I didn't just want to be a mum, I wanted to be an amazing mum. And that was like running in the background of my mind from when I was playing with Barbie dolls as a kid, as a little girl. Like I just wanted to be the best mum ever. Not everyone has that goal. Not every woman has that goal. Some women want to be other things. It's not that I only wanted to be that, but I definitely wanted to be that. And so we are natural nurturers. It's our feminine way. We nurture other people, and not just our children, but just the people in our lives. And again, some women are more like that than others. But I am a natural nurturer, and that's not a bad thing. But what it does, and when I talk about self-abandonment, I don't necessarily mean that it's always negative, because sometimes we do have to put ourselves to the side to be that kind of mother that we want to be. And in order for me to pour that much love and energy and attention into my children and into my marriage at the time, I had to put some of the things that I wanted aside. And that's totally okay. But what it does do is rob us a little bit of our sense of self, or a lot actually. Our sense of self shifts in order to step into that role. And so this feeling of self-abandonment is some of it's natural and some of it's not negative. But if we don't recognize that we still need to look after us, that we still need to be able to take time out and ask for what we need, then that's going to become, we can become a bit of a martyr about it. We can start to, show up in ways that we're not proud of, and we can get needy, and we can, do you know what I mean? Like we can project that out. None of this can necessarily happens consciously, but over time, we need to learn how to rewind that back and be like, hang on a second, like I'd have nothing left to give. We're giving from this empty place of, nothingness. It's really, really hard to then turn around and change that habit.
I
And
think
so I think that it's a bit of both. I think that it's natural, but then it can become unhealthy. And so the thing that I think changes it into being something that needs addressing is the other things that we're not aware of about us. Like I said, this story about not being enough, this is not necessarily something that everyone turns to. People pleasing. People do other things to try and fill that hole. But that's what I stepped into. And it's because I'm that natural nurturer. And so therefore, in order to get to the bottom of it, we need to figure out what that limiting story is. Like, what's the origin of it? Like, why do I think that about myself? So that it's never going to go away, but we can be aware of it and we can start to act consciously.
You've said two things that I want to highlight that
I
I
know.
think is really
You were trying to jump in. I was like, I need to stop talking.
well, no, so okay, two things that you said that I think are really important
Yeah.
that we talk about and highlight for the listening audience. Number one, you said intention.
Yeah.
And just so you know, I always wanted to be a mom too. I have two kids, and that's all I want. Didn't care about a marriage. I just wanted the babies. But we can choose when we do things with intention, it's easier to recognize the boundaries. And then you came
Yeah.
back to it when you said consciously. And I'd like to just talk about the challenge of that, because what's that saying? Best laid plans, or the best intentions of mice and men. I know I've got that quote wrong, so please don't nobody send me hate mail because I misquoted. But I think it's worth talking about this idea that on the one hand, on a good day, moms and women's worldwide have great intentions. I'm going to be loving and generous and present with my children or with my partner or with my life today. And then on the other hand, it can be we forget that intention actually is an option, and we
Yeah.
are on automation, and we get into the habit of just do, the busyness of the life that we lead. How did you how did you reconcile the two? Because it's great to have the intention, but you still, to your point, have to be able to pull it back and give yourself permission in that
Mm.
moment.
For me, it was stepping into figuring out what is actually at the root of it. So, the step towards moving out of that way of being for me was a massive wake up call, to be honest. Like when I turned 40,
Yeah,
I was shooting all over myself. I don't know if you've heard that before. I
I
can't
have.
coin it because I don't know where I heard it either. But I thought I should be happier. Thought I should be wealthier. I thought I should be thinner. I thought I should be more in love. I thought I should be all these things that I wasn't in my eyes. The funny thing is that everyone around me thought I was those things because that's the picture that I had been portraying. That's the reality that I had been showing everybody else. But on the inside, those things felt completely inauthentic to me because I didn't feel like that. But on the outside, this perfect persona. And so breaking down that was terrifying. I'm going to say I was exhausted from holding that perfect image up, but deciding to do something about the feeling that I had about it was terrifying. And it wasn't until I really started to look at what was going on there and what was driving that feeling that I was able to start undoing it. And so the things that actually helped were, like I said before, figuring out where that story originated. Like, when did I decide that I wasn't good enough? It was a very, very young age, sadly, very, very young age. I found the origin of that story. I started to really understand why I felt that way. And then I was able to make a conscious choice to reframe that so that I could move past it. Like I said, it's never going anywhere, but I now know why I feel that way. So when I feel that way, I have clarity, and then I'm able to make a different choice. And so there's that. The other thing is understanding the things that I value and the things that I want to have more of in my life and why I want to have those things also creates a lot of clarity. And when I say clarity, I mean a clarity of like a sense of who I actually am, not who I'd been pretending to be, and not who I thought I should be for everybody else, but who I actually am. The interesting thing is too, though, some of the things that I had been pretending to be are actually who I am. That was a nice surprise. But now I got to actually step into them in an authentic way instead of, like I said, I do like to make people happy. That's actually a really beautiful thing about me. But now I don't have that drive that I had there before. Now I do it because I want to, not because I feel like I have to. So it's about unpacking those things that, you know, that are in the way of us showing up and having that clarity and understanding of it.
I think clarity is everything. And what I heard was that you learn, first of all, it's very courageous to do that work. I've done it as well. But what I love about this work is that you're right, we're not changing the past, but we can change our relationship to the memory, but
Yes.
it doesn't flatten us. Or even if you bring it out in the open and you're like, wow, that in itself has taken away so much of its power because you can at least identify it, have a conversation with that person or just with the memory. And truly, success is an inside job. Gabby Bernstein, I quote her all the time. And
Mhm.
it's so true. Whatever we want on the outside, we've got to discover it on the inside first. And what I found is that it's already there. We just don't recognize it. We've
Yeah.
so much a lifetime of I should only speak when I'm spoken to, or I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Um, I don't have a university degree, so I can't charge, I can't go for that job because I don't have a degree, or I can't charge X amount because I only have one certificate behind my name instead of five, and all of these stories. I also love that you refer to it as stories because I do as well. I'm curious though, when the day that you stopped pretending and you made that conscious decision to stop pretending, what was one of the first things that you said to yourself? Was it
Enough.
enough? Enough is enough?
Enough. I'm tired.
Mm.
I can't do this anymore. Like I just literally wanted to just drop everything and just I did really in a way. I just kind of like paused and just said enough. And to then turn that around and start being authentic, like speaking, like just start actually saying what you're feeling. That's what I had to do. And I was doing a lot of personal work at the time, which is what kind of, woke me up, I guess. And the hardest part is stepping over that line and deciding to have those breakthroughs and to have that transformation. Like you've got to have the breakdown first. And that's the hardest part because true transformation, like there's change and then there's transformation. Like when something changes, it just kind of like goes in a different direction. But when something transforms, like a butterfly is no longer a caterpillar anymore. It's a butterfly now. Like it transforms into something else, but it has to go inside. And, I've never used this analogy. I quite like it. It has to go inside and have that time and that pause and that space to think and discover and then we come out and then we're you know, the transformed version. But that period of time is so difficult because you have to own a lot of things. You have to to take responsibility for the things that you've created as a result of you being that way, as a result of you pretending. And that can be really difficult for people to do. It's difficult for me to do. And the other thing that happens when you then on the other side of that and you are starting to fly out in the world and be you is that it gives everyone around you permission to do the same thing. Like when you're around somebody that's authentic, you can't help but be more authentic or want to be at least. But the thing is, the people that have known you to be a certain way for a really long time, they don't always going to like this newer version of you because it's uncomfortable for them, because it was uncomfortable for you. It was uncomfortable for you to go into that cocoon and into that space and that dark place and figure all that stuff out. It's terrifying, like I said before. And so people are going to do one or two things. They're either going to go on that journey with you or they're going to try and pull you back. into their comfort zone. And so that was the hardest part for me, was there was some painful goodbyes and some painful endings that I didn't expect. But once I'd made that choice to choose myself and to show up that way, I had to continually make that choice every day, because there was always going to be something that I had to step over. Well, there was many things I had to step over and into and through in order to get to where I am now.
So we're going to take a short break right now, but I'll be back with my guest within 60 seconds. Ladies, unlock your inner badass and transform your life with my monthly subscription workshop. For just $47 a month, you'll have exclusive access to work closely with me, Mahara Wayman, as we dive deep into all things badass, from personal development to conquering your goals. Imagine waking up every day with confidence, purpose, and a smile that radiates your newfound strength. Take advantage of this badass opportunity and join us today at www.mindfulnesswithmahara.com and start your journey toward a happier, more confident you. Smile when no one is looking. You've earned it. Do you think, did it get easier for you?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Eventually. And there's this other really interesting thing that happens when you start to continually choose yourself and speak up and say what's real and stop pretending, is that, have you ever you've heard of momentum, right? The momentum that comes from that, eventually, it's like trying to push a car at first. You know, it's really hard. And then after a while, the car starts moving, and then you're just effortless. Just keep your hand on it, right? It's like the momentum that comes from continuously choosing to be real is phenomenal when you get that momentum. It's like the same thing in business, the same thing in anything, right? When you finally achieve that, you don't want to give that up for anything, because you know how hard it's going to be to get it again.
I hope you caught the power when she explained the difference between change and transformation. Because we change, we're constantly changing. But if you limit yourself to changing only, then you can change back. But if you honor yourself by stepping up into the opportunity to transform, you're transformed. You step over that line. And I just wanted to highlight that that's a really beautiful thing to recognize. Of course, we change all the time. Life is always changing. But when we choose to transform, that's like, 10xing a change, because you're actually a different person. Now, we're not saying that you don't have the memories, that you changed your past, but you absolutely can change your future when you transform. Give yourself permission to sort of have a different relationship with yourself, with your memories, with your, with your friends and with your family. I'm curious though, now that it's been a few years and you have said goodbye to relationships that no longer served you, that were no longer meant to be on this path, can you, because people say this to me all the time, so I'm wondering if it happens to you, that you look back and go, I know exactly why I had you in my life. I know exactly why you were my best friend in high school. I know exactly why I hung with you at, the PTA meetings. Are you at a point now where you can look back on those relationships and go, thank you, I know why?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's that saying, like, we can't choose our parents. We can't choose the culture that we're born into, or whatever. Like, those things are just, they're in our past and their experiences, and they shape us. And every single relationship shapes us as well, even the ones that we do choose. And we can't go back and change them. All we can do is recognize the value and the wisdom that we naturally gained as a result of relating to that person. And it's what we needed at the time, or what we thought we needed at the time, or whatever. But the art of forgiveness, and it is an art, is something that, if we want to move forward in a way that's healthy, and we want to have a different reality and a different result in our new relationships or in our future, then we need to learn how to forgive not just the people who perhaps wronged us or were not serving us in a way that was pleasant, but also ourselves. Like learning to forgive ourselves for staying in those relationships or for choosing those relationships or those experiences or whatever. And for me, the best way to do that is to reframe, like unpack and repack those things in a way that allow you to see them differently, that allow you to see them for the value that they brought you. Because who we are, our sense of self is actually made up of everything we've ever been through. It's like we are the result of our choices. We are the product of the choices that we've made and the experiences we've had and the relationships. I mean, that's where we learn the most. I believe we learn the most out of relating to another human being in one way or another. And so we need to recognize that value there. But I do feel like forgiveness is a big part of it.
I agree 100% on the forgiveness. What I found quite distracting in my journey was understanding how judgmental I am. And I will be the first to admit that when I'm a certified mastery method coach and we came upon this was our module all about judgments. And I kind of stuck my nose up. I'm like, I don't judge. I'm really easy. I'm a totally open. I accept. I'm really all of these, And then, of course, we got into the module. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so judgmental. Like, oh my God, I'm so judgmental. And to me, that was a very difficult one to wrap my head around and then to work on a regular basis. And I bring it up because it's all tied into forgiving, right? When we can look at somebody without judgment, there's no need to forgive because we don't have judgment attached to it. And the challenge, because when I first started doing this work, I was thinking, oh, I am so judging of others, naughty, bad Mahara. And then one day I went, God, I'm so judgmental of myself. Like, how do I get out of bed in the morning with all this crap that's going on in my head? So if anybody listening has never thought of a life coach or coaching or doesn't know anything about coaching, this is a great podcast for you to be listening to because both Megan and I are coaches. And it sounds like we have very similar takes on what it means to do the hard work, do the deep work. But know that you're amazing just the way that you are and that life has happened for you, not to you, even if you're in a bad spot. Even if you are listening to this podcast going, oh my God, I don't even know what I'm doing tomorrow. Like I'm so lost. It's okay. You're going to be okay. And you can, with some help, either by a life coach or counseling or whatever, there is help for you because all of us have the ability to sit, hand on heart, breathe, and ask ourselves some tough questions. It may not feel good, but that's okay because chances are you've already experienced a lot of things that didn't feel good. I experienced a lot in my life that didn't feel good. I just pretended it felt okay. Or I poo-pooed it away. Oh, it's no big deal. I got sidetracked, but really understanding how judgmental we are. And once we understand that, how easy it can be to forgive ourselves, others, and to really be present in the moment. Life is different. It is completely different. So I think I digressed a bit, but I just wanted to touch on that judgment/forgiveness piece because it has played a huge role in my world. So
Absolutely.
Let's take a breath and talk about where we're at today. So you stopped pretending around your 40th birthday. You had a come to Jesus wake up call on your life. You had some difficult conversations with yourself about why you were feeling the way that you did, which was exhausted and from pretending so much. And you made some changes. Where are you today?
Yeah. Well, today my life looks completely different. I mean, it's been 4 to 5 years I'm 45 now. So it is 5 years of really getting honest with myself. And like I said before, the momentum is exciting. And so now I find myself, I'm in a beautiful relationship with an amazing man who got to meet me. And I love telling this story because a year ago, almost to the day, almost to the week, we decided that we would be in a serious relationship together. So we'd met a couple of weeks before that. But I was at a point where I was like, I'd been dating, I'd had, other smaller, shorter relationships over that time. But I just got to this point where I was like, I am tired of being told I'm too much, because I did get told that for a few times out of there, because I was like being expressed, I was being me. I was like, I don't care, I got tired of that because it was making me question myself. And I'd reached this point where I was like, I am just going to be me. I'm just going to say it how it is. I'm going to show up as this too much version, whatever that means. And if I meet someone and they love that, great. And if I don't, I am going to have a relationship with me for the rest of my life that I love. And about 2 weeks after making that decision, I met Luke. And the interesting thing was that he'd been on a similar journey and had been on his own for 6 months and just decided that he was happy that way. Now we'll both tell you that was probably not really how we wanted it to be, but we'd accepted that. And so we met each other and we were authentic and real, and we had very vulnerable conversations very early on, because we really just were like, this is either going to be or not be. And he got to meet me, like actually me, no holds bars, nothing in the way. And I can't tell you how amazing it feels to be learning to relate to somebody, because every new relationship has that curve, right? Learning to relate to someone with nothing in the way. Is it always easy? No. Between us, we have 7 children. He has 4, I have 3. It's busy. There's always something, right? There's always something going on with one of them that we talking about and moving through and deciding what to do and working together on. And it's beautiful because I can say what I need to say. He can say what he needs to say. And so that's where I'm at relationship wise. Like, it's incredible. And I want that for everybody, because it's just the most freeing thing to be able to just get up in the morning and just show up and be loved, like really loved for that. And so, yeah, so that's really cool. And then business, like from a business side of things or a coaching side of things, I'm so clear on what I believe works and what the process is to get to where I am now, that is also becoming effortless in a way that I know what I want to say. Like right now with you, this is not something that I'm just channeling this from the truth, right? It's nothing, there's no script, it just is. And it's freeing. And so that is exactly where I'm at. It's freed. It's freed. And I say freed with a D because it's on the other side of that work, or on the other side of this choice to do the work, where that true freedom is. So that's where I'm at now.
Thank you. And guys listening, this is what it means to be badass. It's not, and it's really interesting because my mother-in-law has said a couple times, I don't like that word. Why would anybody want to be badass? 'Cause she's a little bit older. Well, she's 20 years older. And I've been explaining to her that really today in my world, being a badass is just exactly what you said. It is freeing. I feel so much lighter when I am myself. And when we are ourselves, that's when our energy that we're putting out, it's attracting the like energy. So when we are fearful and pretending and stayed and angry, that's the energy that we're putting out to the world. And I fully believe that's what we bring back. And so it becomes like a catch-22. We don't know how to break out of that cycle. Typically, we get to a point where we're so damn miserable, like the day you realized that you were too tired to pretend anymore, that's the beginning of our journey of transformation. But every step we take closer to ourselves is a giant step closer to ourselves. So I just want to make sure, I want people out there to realize that, you know, this doesn't happen overnight. You
Mm-mm.
may pretend, oh my God, I'm going to take off my bra and burn it, and I'm a free woman. It's just the beginning, right? Well, I'm just on a side note,
It's a good analogy.
it drives me crazy that I still, hot summer day in Alberta, I want to go out and walk the dog, and I have to put on a bra. And I'm like, do I? Do I really? And I'm telling you, just
Yeah.
weeks ago, I had this conversation with myself in my bedroom. I don't want to wear a bra, God damn it. I'm like, well, they're just nipples. Like, guys have nipples. Like, why do I still feel? So I didn't put on a bra, and I
Good
walked
for
the
you.
dogs. And it was great until the one dog started to run, and I had to run with the dog. And I'm like, damn it. That's why you wear a bra, Mahara. You're 58 years old almost. You shouldn't be running down the sidewalk chasing your golden retriever puppy without a bra on. So, just a little bit of TMI in my life, but still, it does get easier when we can be honest about who we are, because no matter what, when you peel away all of the misunderstandings and the stories and get right down to it, you're amazing. I'm
Yeah.
amazing. And we've done amazing things within our world. Sure, we've made mistakes, but they're only a mistake if you don't learn from it. One of the things I love about being on this journey is that I now can look at opportunities for growth versus I fucked up, right? I didn't fuck up.
Yep.
I created the most amazing opportunity for growth. Let me share it with you so you don't have to go through that experience. And I can look at it with tongue in cheek and a little bit of levity, which it sounds like you've managed to do that as well. So I want to thank you so much for sharing your story with us. You mentioned a book to me earlier. Are you finished writing the book?
I wish I could say yes, I am, but no.
No worries.
It's interesting. It's interesting because I think I've been writing it for 6 years, and it's this year's the year I've decided to finish it. And you know what was in the way of me finishing it? Being perfect, getting it right. So that's what it's all about. It's about that journey. And yeah, it's happening.
I love your honesty. I love your honesty. So you have got, guys, I'm going to put all of her information in the show notes because, of course, I want you to check her out for yourself. But you do have a podcast that people can listen to. I'm going to be your newest follower. You
Thank you.
Do you offer group coaching, or is it one-on-one coaching, or both?
Both. So yeah, I have a brand new community actually, depending on when this show airs. But just this week, I opened up a group space where I can support people stepping into that space and staying in the space of choosing themselves. So I'd love, yeah, you can share that if you want. But yeah, I feel like it's important that we have people around us that are going to support us on that journey and keep us in the space of transformation, because like I said before, it's so easy to step back.
Yeah. I grew up in group coaching. I mean, not grew up, but that's my jam. So I understand the magic of being in a group. It really is magical, because on the days that you don't think you have anything to contribute, those are the days that you're going to get something exactly what you needed, right? And on the days
Yeah.
you are just brimming with enthusiasm, that's the day that somebody else in the group really needed to be there and to hear you. So I love that you are starting a group program. That is brilliant. Is there anything that we don't know about you, Megan, that you'd like our listeners to know before we sign off?
Oh, there's lots. I'm
That you
thinking
can
of
say
one
on
that
the
might
air.
actually be interesting.
You're not to something, just something out of whatever.
Well, I am actually a hairdresser by trade. I started hairdressing at 15, and that is where my love of people began. I was terrified of them at first, to be completely honest with you. I just couldn't believe some of the things that people told me willingly. But after a while, I realized no one actually knows who the heck they are.
Mm.
And I've worked with people closely my entire life. And I've just become more and more and more fascinated with this humanness that we all have to deal with. And so I just want us all to be better at it, and that's where that love of people started. That's probably the biggest thing I can share with you that we haven't said already.
Well, thank you so much, Megan. I've loved chatting with you, and we are going to do this again. I don't know whether it's going to be on your podcast or I'm going to have you back on my podcast, but we are just
Totally.
too aligned. We are just too aligned to not have more conversations about this. Thank you for joining in today to the Art of Badassery. I hope that you took away some nuggets that my guest shared today, because there were lots of them. Check the show notes again, as I said. My name is Mahara. This has been the Art of Badassery podcast. And please do share the podcast with anybody that you think would benefit from this, because Megan and I are both determined to make a difference in the world. Yeah. We'll see you next week. Thank you for tuning in to the Art of Badassery. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and gained valuable insights to help unleash your inner badass. If you found this podcast helpful, please leave a rating or review on your favorite platform. Your feedback not only helps me improve the show, but it also helps others like yourself discover the podcast. Until next time, keep embracing your authenticity and living life on your terms. Here's to you.